Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, in the studio. Thank God it's Friday. The Olympics are finally here, and the opening ceremony's happening today. When can we actually start watching those?
The live telecast from Paris, I think there's a 6 or 7 hour difference, but the live telecast here in the middle part of America will be at 12:30, just shortly after noon. And that will be the opening ceremonies if you wish to see it live. Well, there are many thousands who can't because of work and so forth and so on. So then the NBC folks tape it, and they'll show it again tonight at 6:30, right after the 6 o'clock news. So there's plenty of chance to see it. The opening ceremonies usually last about 3 or 4 hours, somewhere around there. And U.S. flags will be carried by LeBron James and Coco Gauff, and it will be a gala celebration. Hopefully it will lead to a number of gold medals. We'll find out.
Fingers crossed. We have been dominant over the years. It's not even close when you look at the total over the, all the Olympics. The USA dominates. I know that baseball is your favorite sport, but when it comes to Olympics, what's your favorite sport?
I think probably I gravitate more toward the track and field and the men's, well, this is unfair to say, I'm not being sexist, but the men's basketball. Women's basketball has been just overwhelmingly dominant, so there's not a whole lot of mystery. But men's basketball with the NBA players there, I find to be fascinating because there's a chance they could lose.
Yeah, and there's more. Isn't that interesting the way that works? You look at the NBA, right, and there's not that kind of competition. But in women's basketball, the WNBA, there is. Then we flip it to the Olympics. You look at the women compared to the other countries, it's not even close. It's just like the 90s all over again, dream team, but for the women. But now in the men's, a lot of competition. It's crazy how those cycles work. But let's talk about soccer. How USA women's soccer?
Well, soccer competition is already underway, and it has to be because the number of teams and the way they play, the way they have the Olympic tournament all formatted. So that competition actually has begun. USA lost their game in the men's team to France. No surprise, France is a gold medal contender. Anyway, 3-0 was the final. The USA women faced Zambia yesterday, and an easy win for the Team USA. 3-0 was also the final score in that one. Now, things will get a little bit tougher, but the USA women's soccer team is very good. Probably person for person better than the men's team that carries the red, white, and blue. But nonetheless, U.S. opens up with a victory, and competition continues on.
Last but not least, men's basketball, back to that. Got close in some of those exhibition games. When's their first real test towards the goal?
It'll be Sunday morning. They play Sunday morning, which of course will be early evening in Paris. And the USA is playing Serbia. Now, of all the exhibition games that Team USA played, Serbia was the biggest and most lopsided score. And yet they have one of the best players in the world on their team, Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. He's tough to handle, but the rest of the team is not. It was 105-79, I think the final score was in exhibition play. A little bit misleading because the game was tied early in the third period, and then the USA took over. But you're right, there were a number of close games. Heck, the game with South Sudan was 1 point, 101-100, and the USA has to play them again. They're in the same pool. So this is the way it works, but we'll find out how good USA really is.
Cardinals, how are they doing in their division?
Well, they had the night off last night, as did the Kansas City Royals. The Cardinals are 6 games back of the division-leading Brewers and 1 game in front of the Pirates. There's only 1 game difference in that one, and both those teams really, in all reality, are wild card possibilities. The Cardinals open up a series tonight with the Washington Nationals. They aren't very good. The Nationals come in. The Nationals did play yesterday, and they were no-hit. Ooh, boy, that's tough to take the field the next day when you're the victim of a no-hitter. But it was Dylan Cease of the San Diego Padres who threw that franchise's second no-hitter. Washington Nationals blanked completely in a 3-0 game, and now that Washington team, which is, again, not very good, comes in for a 3-game series with the Cardinals starting tonight.
Now about my Kansas City Royals, they are a lot of games back behind the number 1 team in the division, but they are in a close race in number 2. They just need to gain some ground. You think they can do that against the Cubs this weekend?
That's who they play, the Chicago Cubs, who are kind of an up-and-down ball club and really fractured because of injuries. Royals are not. The Royals have played very well and maintained a healthy status. What I find to be interesting about this weekend coming up is they're only, 72 hours? Is that what it would be? No, it's a little bit more than that. Be about 120 hours until the trade deadline. Now, Kansas City could use some help, and there are people out there, players who are dangling there. Trouble is, what will the other teams want for those players?
Yep.
But this series with the Chicago Cubs is going to be very interesting. The Royals are 5.5 back of the Cleveland Guardians. That's not all that bad. And 1 game back of the Minnesota Twins. So that race continues, probably will be that tight for the rest of the season. There are, Mike, I think I'm right on this. My math may be a little skewed, but I think it's 60 or 61 games remaining in the season. That's all. And you have to get your treasure while you can.
You absolutely have to take advantage while you can, so it makes it a lot easier here at the end of August into September when you really want to make it.
That's when the pressure is really on. Now, Springfield Cardinals did get a win last night, 3-2. They eked one out over the Corpus Christi Hooks, and that's with Quinn Matthews on the hill, although he didn't really have a great night. Matthews pitched 4 1/3 innings. I thought, why are they taking him out? Well, the reason they took him out was because he'd already thrown 96 pitches in 4 1/3 innings, and that means he's not real sharp. So, he's a kid. He's coming on. Hey, get him out of there and let him get the rest. Cardinals got the win, and that's what counts.
Yeah, that's all that matters. But if you want to feel what throwing 100 pitches is like, go outside and try that. You're going to be exhausted afterwards. Now that we've got...
That's a 2-week nap for me.
I'll be carrying Ned around everywhere. So, of course, tonight we've got the opening ceremony, well, really in a few hours in Paris. And it gets us thinking. Ned brings his big old book of facts into the studio. Where were the 1904 Olympic Games held, and what was the venue?
1904. Now, how about that? 1904, well over 100 years ago. Where were the Olympics held? How about east of here in St. Louis? That's where they were. And that generated a number of songs like Meet Me in St. Louis, Louis, and all this sort of thing. That originates from the Olympic Games. They were originally scheduled to be held in Chicago. Get this for a little historic note. That year was the 100th anniversary of the signing of the Louisiana Purchase, of which St. Louis was part of. Therefore, hey, let's move the games to St. Louis. Well, they didn't have real good fans, and not a great turnout. And the venue that was used, obviously Busch Stadium. Well, Sportsman's Park, no. That's not going to get it, guys. They went to the stadium at Washington University in St. Louis, and that's where it was held. That was all of it. And it was a limited Olympics. But, 1904 in St. Louis.
And is that stadium in WashU still standing, or at least?
I doubt it very much.
Because I know they have an area towards the old part of the university where it has a little kind of stadium thing built into those old buildings, and I'm wondering, but there's no way. Not this long ago.
The venue itself, probably not, but they may have a commemorative area.
Maybe some cornerstones hanging around. Maybe someone lifted one. Either way, Ned, enjoy the Olympics this weekend, and I will see you on Monday.